Now, whom we have today is a very exciting person, I mean, with whom we have been working with very closely. Mr. Arjun Nagarajan, who is the CEO and co-founder at Jook. And he'll be taking you through the various modules provided by Jook to increase operational efficiency. At Jook, they build world-class intelligent enterprise products and solutions for critical business operations in order to enhance their productivity, safety, and compliance. Uh, and Arjun and his team, almost with more than 36 plus years of operational excellence experience, would walk you through. So Arjun, he comes with a very rich background, and has been very. I mean, the team has been always very responsive, and would love to see today. Arjun, if you could please walk us through, and just for the sake of hygiene, would request everyone to be on mute whenever someone is not speaking, please. And in case you have any questions, I also have Prithvi and Shreya with me, who are co-moderating, and kindly put up your questions in the chat box, and we would be happy to take those questions. And in case you have any pressing question during the presentation, one could unmute himself or herself and ask the question, and we'd be happy to address that as we go along. So Arjun, the floor is yours. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Udayji. I hope everyone is able to hear me. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. And special thank you to Incubate Hub for giving us this opportunity to showcase what we are doing. My name is Arjun. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Jook. At Jook, we are building the next generation of enterprise systems, which gives safe, efficient, and compliant operations. We work with some of the largest companies in the world. Our customers include Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, more recently ONGC, the Tata Group, and so on. And we are also expanding into the Middle Eastern markets after having our initial proving ground as India. Right. Let me just quickly share a presentation. Do let me know if it is visible. And sorry.
Yeah, I think the screen is still coming up.
It's still coming up.
Yeah. We're not able to. Yeah.
About now?
I think we can see your screen. Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, that's great. So, so today we'll talk a little bit about what we are doing in on the safety side, right? The Jook platform, how it provides a tool for digitizing safety. Sorry, seems to be something wrong with my throat.
You may want to just have a little water if you don't mind. So take your time. Yeah.
So, prior to starting Jook, the founding team, Saurabh, Aman, and myself, we spent almost a decade each, right? Over a decade each in the oil and gas sector, upstream oil and gas, right? And this is like working on the oil rigs that most of the time in the middle of the sea. And worked in various places. I myself worked in the Middle East for about 6 years, spent almost 2 years in the US before coming back to India and starting Jook. Saurabh and Aman have spent a lot of their careers in the Middle East and in Southeast Asia. And basically, we would go where the oil is, right? We worked with some of the largest oil companies in the world, providing them services related to oil and gas exploration. So most of this happens in a very, very hazardous kind of an environment, right? And safety is paramount. There is an entire function of safety which is there in all of these organizations, which is kind of the the go-to function, which kind of dictates at what pace operations must take place and how they should be conducted in a safe manner, right? So when we started Jook and when we started working on this particular product, our idea was, okay, how do we digitize this and take all of this to the next level, right? So let's talk a little bit about evolution of safety in the industry, right? Because it's not it's something that has evolved over time, right? All of you must have seen the famous picture of the workers sitting in the New York skyscraper without any safety equipment, right? That is something that is unheard of today, right? That is, and we wear seatbelts in our cars. We don't. We wear seatbelts on airplanes, and we make sure that we follow a certain set of protocols. All of this has evolved over time, right? All of this has evolved and has improved over time. So with safety, how has it improved, right? Initially, the traditional phase of safety is, where the level of losses decreased a lot, is individual controls, right? Attention to rules, discipline, enforcement. So especially what used to happen here is people used to say, hey, these are rules, right, that you need to follow to maintain safety at the workplace, right? That was the first phase of safety, right? And that kind of, what happens is the level of losses kind of tapers down after some time, right? With this kind of traditional controls, this is the level of safety optimization you can get, right? Then comes the transitional phase, right? Transitional phase is engineering controls, safe work procedures. Like those of you who are working in the industry will know about this system called permit to work, which is very, very common, right? There are stand back 5 into 5, HARC, hazard analysis, risk control, various other tools that are being used to maintain the overall safety at the workplace. So this is kind of a transitional phase, which also decreases the number of losses, right? There is a step change in the number of losses that take place. Then comes the most important phase, which is the innovative phase, right? Eliminate risk, create a culture where everyone is watching out for each other. And safety becomes a part of the culture. Some of the largest organizations in the oil field are actually working on building safety as a culture, so that very simple example, if you are doing something unsafe, it is okay for the other person to point it out, even though that person may be reporting to you. So someone reporting to you might actually say that, hey boss, you are doing something wrong, why don't you do it in a very nice way? And that is actually encouraged. So immediately it's not like why are you telling me how to do my job, right? So organizations are investing a lot of money in making sure that the right culture echoes across the organization, and this is very, very important, right? This is very important because without the right culture, there will always be resistance to whatever we do. Now, this is the phase, the innovative phase, right, which is based on behavior-based safety. That is going to lead to ultimately the holy grail of any safety department, that is zero loss, right? What happens with digitization, right? The moment you put in digitization, you are able to do all of these things together, right? So let us say an organization is at whatever phase they are, right? They bring in digitization. They are able to go directly to the innovative phase, right? So this curve is called a PIBUS curve, right? It's based on a research paper written in '96, and it's kind of considered the baseline document for industrial safety, right? So what I was saying is digitization kind of cuts across all of these phases to give the benefits of the innovative phase of safety and create a culture around safety, right? Now let's talk a little bit about what is going on in a facility, right? In any kind of a facility, what are the managers thinking? What are the supervisors thinking, right? People who are not exactly on the ground. What they are thinking is, hey, is everyone working safely? Where are all my high value assets? And highest value assets are people, right? Are my assets being utilized properly? How many people are present in various this one, right? Who is entering a confined space? Who is not entering a confined space? Are there any heavy loads being lifted? All of these are questions that are running on in any supervisor or manager's mind, right? Be it offshore, be it land, be it a mine, be it a factory. This is what the safety function is essentially thinking about.
Yeah. I think Arjun, I'll just intervene. I mean, I still recall having conversation with you while one of my friend who heads, who's the CEO of one of largest conglomerates in India, and how he was so concerned when he wanted to start his manufacturing plants. And I still recall, I think that's where we started having conversations around, how right from graduating from IIT, and how you having worked in oil fields and services sector, and having experience in handling customers, employees, and assets. And that's why I think we triggered a conversation to a great extent of how this is becoming of so much of prime importance, right, of leadership wanting to really take care of everything, and see that they are sorted on all these aspects. So I think really would love for you, and I really appreciate you, expanding this and giving the significance of this. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. So these are kind of the questions that are going on in everyone's mind, right? Because see, end of the day, with safety, something goes wrong. Okay, you might lose your job, you might get warning or something like that. But end of the day, someone could lose their life, right? And there is nothing more important than that. So essentially, what we do is we create a digital map of a facility. Facility can be anything, right? Facility can be a factory, it can be a warehouse, it can be an oil rig, it can be an offshore oil platform, it can be a mine, right? From where let us say aluminium or coal is being extracted. We create a detailed map of the facility, and on that facility map, we show position of all assets in real time. And by assets, I mean people also, right? People are our primary focus. So you can see all your security guards on a map. It's like a video game, right? You are seeing all your security guards patrolling. You are seeing all your contract workers working, and contract workers can be further subclassified as the business requires, right? For example, you can see all your electricians, all your welders. More importantly, you can see members of your emergency response team. You can see where the medics are, where first aid is available, all of this on a real-time map of the facility. And this information is kind of relayed onto the map. And then what happens is a number of things become possible. What you can do is you can actually see if there is an emergency, right? How long it takes for people to come and muster, right? You all must have seen, right? If you're behind a hotel room, there is a fire evacuation plan, and then there is supposed to be a head count. Even in the most advanced of facilities, this is being done manually, right? They have a list of 50 people. Somebody takes out the list and starts comparing, right? Where are all these 50 people? It's like a roll call. But with a system like Jook, what happens is this becomes instantaneous, right? You go out and someone sees on a map or on a mobile device that, oh, okay, everybody's out. Or, oh, one person is missing and that person is in this particular area. This is the last known location. So when the emergency rescue team has to go and rescue somebody, they know exactly where they are going, right? There are also a number of other advantages, right? For example, you might have a compliance in your facility saying, you know what, trainee is not allowed in the engine room, right? Our trainee should not go to the engine room alone because it could be something dangerous is happening there, right? And the moment a trainee steps into the engine room and he is alone, somebody gets notified that, hey, what is this trainee doing here? Or let us say you need to be level 2 radiation certified to be able to access the radiation area, right? And all of these compliances enable proactive intervention rather than reactive intervention, right? There is no value if you tell a person 10 days after he has done something that, why did you go there? Or why did you do this? But if, as the act is happening, as the act of non-compliance is happening, if you go and tell people that, hey, don't do this again, they will remember, right? They will remember, and this creates the positive culture of safety that I was talking about. So we have dashboards, you can create a number of rules, right? Rules are different for each facility, and every facility, they can create their own rules and make sure that, their protocols, internal protocols are being followed, right? Then of course we can get analytics on, who is safe, has unsafe behavior, all of this. So essentially the idea is to provide for supervisors and managers a tool by which they can actually measure the performance of safety, right? They can, first of all, they can visualize it, then they can measure it. Once they are able to measure it, they can act on improving it, right? So that's the basic logic, right? This is a short video about emergency mustering, right? I spoke about emergency mustering, right? A very short video. Let's just go through it, right? So okay. There is, I think there is some error. There you go. So you see what happens, right? There is an emergency alarm, then there are different people located in different areas, and all of them are going to the muster area, right? So traditionally what happens is when people go to muster area, you see that they are in muster area A or muster area B or what it is, and there is a manual head count. Here what happens, the head count is automatic, because the moment people go in, you know that they have to go in. And you also know that the last known person is kind of left here. Who is this person? Right? What is their last known location? All of this becomes immediate. And what happens is in these kind of accident kind of situations, if you spend 15-20 minutes trying to find where the person is located instead of rescuing them, this could create a difference between a positive outcome and a negative outcome, right? And the negative outcome could be loss of life. So you know exactly where the missing people are, right? In case of this one, and this is a screenshot from the real product, right? And all these location data is updated like very, very frequently, right? So for one of our customers, one of our first customers, actually, a large FMCG company, we have reduced the emergency drill time from 17 minutes to 2 minutes. So now it takes 2 minutes for people to come out, right? The moment they come out, everyone gets counted. There is no more, asking ye kidhar gaya, wo kidhar gaya, and all of this stuff, right? Acha, wo mil gaya, okay, uska naam cut nahi kiya. All of this stuff gets eliminated, right? That's a very, very small application of what we can do, right? Very small subset of what we can do. Another thing is, by enabling IoT and this connected worker kind of a solution, what we are able to do is a number of things, right? Like an emergency trigger can get pressed. There can be fall detection, right? There's a very short video on this emergency trigger, right? So there is a fall, you press a trigger, the signal goes to a gateway from the ID card, and we know that, somebody has triggered this emergency at so and so time, right? And then you can send the alert using SMS, you can send the alert using email, or even a push notification on the mobile app, right? All options are available and open. So depending on the severity of the alert, we can actually make sure that the right set of people get notified that, something has gone wrong in a facility. So all these options are available. These are just, two examples just to show how safety can be improved by using digitization, right? Let's talk a little bit more about behavior-based safety, right? Behavior-based safety, we just touched in brief. The main focus in behavior-based safety is, prevention. We should tune everyone's behavior so that accidents are prevented, right? And it improves employee safety, eliminates hazards, prevents injuries, reduces accidents, right? And how do we help with this, right? The rule engine that is built on Jook has zero customization, right? Zero customization means every facility can put any kind of rule that they want on the platform. And then once these rules are followed, and once people get to know, there can be proactive intervention as and when a non-compliance event is happening. Because everyone today tries to say, if you are going to this area, sign this register, right? Only when something goes wrong do people actually look at the register and say, who all have signed this. So with the system like Jook, what happens is all of this happens in real time, right? So these are, some examples of rules, alerts, all of this stuff, right? In a manufacturing area. So essentially, what we bring about is a safety component, right? Which is the main value addition. Reduce response time for emergencies, emergency response and mustering. We are able to locate people during an emergency, and manage logistics, right? Manage where emergency response team needs to go, manage the movement of trucks. Everything can be managed using the Jook platform, right? So there are a number of I would say roles, right? That happen in a facility, right? If you look at emergency management, you always know about who is handling the high risk tasks. You are able to locate anybody on a map, report violations immediately. Hey, welder is working without a fire watch, right? Usually welders never work alone because there is a high probability that something could go wrong, right? This gets reported immediately, and the safety officer or somebody can check, hey, what happened? Why is the welder working alone, right? And of course, we spoke about automatic head count, emergency mustering, all of these things, right? And during normal operations, right, when there is no emergency, if you would like to locate someone for some particular reason, right, I need to have 20 contractors working in the loading unloading area, right? You can just go to the loading unloading area, click on the map. It's kind of like a video game, right? As I said, and you can see whether there are 20 people present there or not, right? If you look at contract worker management, right? Contractors are supposed to spend a certain amount of time in a certain area, right? All functionalities related to HR, etc., can be managed on a single system. We can also know, how much overtime each contract worker is charging, and manage, security guards, visitors, contractors, everything on a single platform, right? And a single platform that does not require any kind of customization or effort. So that is kind of like our USP. The same can be extrapolated to high value assets. High value assets could include, things like high value medical equipment, like portable X-ray machines, ventilators, oxygen concentrators, or it could be, expensive oil field equipment like, drill collars, bits, and so on, that can be tracked across the supply chain. And, when you would like to do an audit, all you need to go and quickly check when was the last ping time, and that asset is physically available, right? So truck in, truck out is one of the application we've introduced with a large auto major, right? Where the internal plant logistics gets super optimized, because every time a truck comes in, the driver gets a tag, right? Through which their location gets tracked. Then what happens is, every time the driver is getting tracked, the driver knows that, they should not while away time in the parking lot and so on, right? They just go do their job and come out. What happens is, detention charges reduce greatly for the customer here, right? The truck detention charges, because they ensure that truck turnarounds are very quick and very efficient. So these are kind of some of the productivity related applications, right? But again, this real-time compliance monitoring is something that is all about safety, right? Define authorized areas for different workers. Make sure time and location is stored for future audit reports. In case something goes wrong, we have a replay function, where you can just see where people were, in case some training or some encouragement to do the right thing is required, right? And you have real-time alerts, right, which we spoke about. Like, for example, somebody is detected in a prohibited area. Moment somebody is detected in a prohibited area, someone gets to know, right? Why are these people in this unauthorized area? So all these compliances get monitored in a very proactive kind of a manner, right? So that's all I had. It was a very, I hope it was very crisp and brief introduction about what we do. We are also very proud that we are funded by ONGC. We are one of the startups that are a part of their startup cohort, and of course, with our background in the oil and gas sector, we are making a lot of inroads into oil and gas mining and manufacturing, where safety is paramount. All right, so I'll happy to take any questions and have a discussion. Thank you so much. Right, look forward to interacting with you all.
Thanks, Arjun. I think that was very precise in terms of what I know, giving the importance of the kind of modules which you have and the kind of in-depth experience you have, which actually builds up end-to-end case, for any customer who would like to adopt. So, I mean, if you may want to just share any kind of, a case study, or somewhere where you may have deployed, if you may want to just give that, how much time did it take, and any other critical information as to business value, both tangible and intangible, as well as on the compliance side, what the customer derived. Maybe it may be useful.
Sure, thank you. Where we have deployed, we have deployed with again some of the largest customers, right? We started with Unilever, which was our flagship customer, and then went on to Fiat. Now our customers include Tata Group and ONGC and a few other companies, right? So one of the deployments, right, was for a very large number of assets, right, about 4,500 assets, and it required a lot of engineering effort on our part to make sure that system doesn't collapse under the amount of data that is being generated. So
Correct.
it was a very challenging time for us when we had to kind of re-engineer a lot of things which we thought were sorted, and we never need to look at again, and then we had to kind of re-engineer them to handle that kind of scale, right? There is a our typical deployment cycle takes maybe about a week to 10 days, because everything is configurable, right? There is no customization. There is nothing saying that you build this and come back, right? So you just physically deploy the hardware. That takes some time, right? Because in not all the times the infrastructure might be ready, so they might need to drill some points for power and so on and so forth. That takes some time. What takes time is kind of training everyone, making sure that it becomes a part of their daily routine using this kind of a system. So that takes time. We have a lot of help. We have a bunch of training videos that we are able to use and move forward with to be able to kind of get people started on using the system, right?
Absolutely. I think makes sense. I know from our conversations as to how you are sorted in terms of not only India but other Middle East and other geographies also, in terms of you being able to work very closely with your partners, so that all the other cultural aspects and deployment aspects are well sorted and taken care. So I think that's the right approach, I would say, to proliferate into various markets and industries. So that's the right model, I personally feel, and that's where I think we are having right conversations, as you know, right? And from the audience, I think would love now, if you may have any questions, you can unmute yourself, or you may want to ask a question in the chat window. We will then read it out to Arjun, or Arjun, we can also have a look at it.
Sure.
Yes. So Arjun, while someone maybe comes up with a question. I was just wondering, what do you see as the kind of maybe not apprehensions, but generally, customers coming out with their queries, in terms of price points around their preparation, or even the IoT or the sensors which they may want to deploy or they will have to deploy. Is there any conversations which where people have any reservations, or you feel that now the industry is fairly sorted in terms of the price points and how the ROI can be seen through the deployment of such a solution?
Sure. Actually, this is a very interesting question, and thank you for asking this. Right. So there have been a lot of reservations in the past. Right. We don't want to track our people. This is an invasion of privacy. Why should we track people? Right. Then what happens is, here what we are doing is tracking people only in the workplace during work hours. Right. We are not putting an app on the phone which you don't know when it is tracking your location. So here what happens is the physics of the technology itself is like, the range itself is like 30 meters, right? So 30 meters outside your workplace, there is no option of getting tracked. There is no way you could get tracked, right? So this used to be one of the apprehensions, right? I mean, I don't want to track my people. What about privacy and so on? Then COVID happened.
Correct.
Right? Now, our biggest advantage is, because we know where people are at all time, we are able to do contact tracing. How we do contact tracing? Let us say someone has COVID, right? Unfortunately, and has been working for the last 3 days. Because location of everyone over the last 3 days, you are able to kind of generate a report saying, hey, this person came into contact with all these people for so much time, and these are the people at high risk, and these people came in contact with the next set of people. So you are able to do like 2 levels of contact tracing, so that you at least know whom to prioritize for testing.
Absolutely. I think in terms of not only it, the whole question is now going from personal privacy to personal safety.
Yes.
I mean, that's how it is transforming the reservation to actually an opportunity for even not only the organization, but also to that individual, right? I think absolutely.
Yes. So those are some changes that are happening. See, the another set of changes is, there always has been the oil and gas mining industry, where safety is always more important than privacy, right? For example, in the oil and gas industry, night 2 o'clock, if there is a fire drill, everyone has to go and participate in the fire drill, right? Because that time safety is more important than even sleep, right? So those cases, what happens is there is an automatic use case, right? But now again, it is becoming more and more prevalent that safety is paramount, and cost of incident is now very, very high. I think you're on mute. Not able to hear you.
Yeah, sorry, there was an ambient noise, so I had just muted myself. Really, thanks. Arjun, that really clearly tells us to the pressing need in today's times for such a solution. And if you may want to just throw a little light on on the healthcare and logistics areas as well, right? Obviously, not to say that remote places of projects, right, and whether it is to do with large infrastructure projects or mining areas, all these sectors, whichever you may want to actually talk about a little bit more, as to in the healthcare side, what are the typical areas you see applications, as well as in the logistics side? Yeah.
Sure. And also there is a question on the chat window from Ambili Nambiar. How is positioning against competitors? If you don't mind, I'll take that first, right?
Oh, please, please, please. Yeah, already we have a question from Ambili.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Ambili.
thanks.
So our unique proposition and what we bring to the table is no customization, right? Our platform is no code. So no code as in be it a deployment in India for certain company X or be it in the Middle East for a certain company Y. It takes us probably 20 minutes to deploy our product, right? Or maybe 15 minutes now. That's it. And then what happens is we start helping the user configure right from day one. In fact, our standard POC lasts about 12 hours because we are able to, in 12 hours, we are able to show value, right? Okay, this is what you can do in 12 hours. Now you extrapolate it for 1 month saying, what is it that you can do? So what happens is when you take customization out of the equation, it becomes very easily implementable as a solution. But taking customization out of operations is very tough because in every factory, operations are very different, right? I mean, you take a factory of same company operating in different states, so they sometimes have different rules, different compliances, right? Especially compared to local laws and all of this. So building a no-code platform for operations is very tough, and that is something that we managed to do. And we still call our product is still at version 4 and kind of improving, right, every time. So that's where we are.
Thanks. Ambili, in case you have any specific further clarification you have, you may unmute yourself and ask.
Right. Thank you.
Okay,
so let me touch a little bit upon the healthcare part that you were talking about, right? So healthcare, there are two use cases. One is, of course, you can track all the people inside a healthcare facility like a hospital and make sure that people are there in their assigned areas, and so that there isn't much of chaos in a hospital, right? That is one aspect of it. Another aspect is tracking the high-end medical equipment, making sure that not a lot of time is wasted on searching for equipment. Instead, just go to a screen and just check where that equipment is and go and find it, right? So that is one of the applications in healthcare. In logistics, of course, we spoke a little bit about this truck in, truck out solution. So that is also something that is providing a lot of value, not only in terms of cost saved, but one of our customers told us that also has a huge green impact, right? Because of the amount of diesel that we are saving. Because the large truck waiting for 40 minutes, each large truck will be at least 3 or 4 liters of diesel, right? And you multiply that by 800 trucks in a day. That's the amount of fuel that gets saved in a single location, right? So also has an impact on the environment.
Absolutely. Thanks. So if we don't have any further questions, I guess we seem to be sorted, really. Thanks a lot, Arjun. If there's any other last message for anyone who, they want to reach out to you or to Incubate Hub, we will post our email ID over here. You could possibly,
Wait, actually, there is one more question.
Yeah, please, Prithvi.
Just posting it on the chat. It says it is from Fireflies. One query: while this application is positioned for safety as the main criteria, however, it seems that a lot of other functionalities are embedded in it. So how do you differentiate from ERP?
Yeah, so the main difference from an ERP, this kind of the platform can be kind of called an ERP for operations, right? Because see, if you look at any large company, when it comes to finance, HR, or any of the functions, they are all perfectly sorted, right? They all have systems in place. But believe it or not, some of the largest companies in the world run their operations on pen and paper. Because again, operations is so different across the board, right? So we would like to, our aspiration is to be the enterprise operating system for safe, efficient, and compliant operations. So yes, you are right. Safety is only one part of it, but there is also productivity or efficiency, and there is compliance, right? Which becomes very, very important, and which are huge gains for any organization that implements the Suke system. Yeah, this question was from Devashish. Thank you, Devashish.
Hi, this is Ambli here. I have one question.
Yes.
Regarding the product life cycle, the product management. What are the key challenges or the highlights of your product development life cycle?
Once the deployment starts, the key challenge would probably be the day-to-day utilization of the system, right? In terms of assigning cards to all the new people that come in, assigning cards to the or taking back the tags from the people who are leaving, and so on, right? That's an operational challenge that is solved by having dedicated manpower on the ground to ensure that things work as planned, right? So that is probably one of the challenges that you have here, which you don't have in a software only kind of a setup.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone else has any further query or we may want to reach out to, I've given my email ID as well. And, Arjun, if you may want to also give your contact.
Sure, I'll just, I hope everyone has access to the chat. My mail ID is arjun@suke.com. I would look forward to hearing from you all.
Yeah, I mean, hi everybody. So this is Devashish once more. So
Hi.
Arjun, I just have a query, and if you see, my earlier query was regarding this ERP. I mean, how is it different? I mean, the primary reason why I would like to ask that query would be that it's from a commercial and financial point of view. Now, if I have an ERP, I have already most of the things taken care of. But this is a very specific suit, I think, that we are discussing here. Now, the primary thing that I'm looking at is how companies are going to spend resources and spend money for this, and what advantages they have. Now, what I'm looking at is there a way, or do you have a thought about the thing that in future your suit can be integrated to an existing application? Because I'm all looking at cost, man. Ultimately, it comes down to how much I'm willing to spend for something. You weigh the pros and cons of having something versus the benefits that I'm going to incur or have have in excuse me have in the future. So do you think there is a probability that this can be integrated to any existing suite of applications that is commonly being used by corporations, or you still think that you are going to be a standalone and something completely different? Because in that case, if somebody needs to, if I have to recommend this suit to my boss, then the thing is, okay, hey, I need to have something different on our company, another application maybe, or I can also suggest it, okay, there is a probability of integrating this into our existing thing. But what's the future like? I mean, do you have plans of that sort? And how do you think it's going to be?
Sure. In fact, you asked a great question, Devashish. So 90% of all our projects are integrated into the customer ERP. Because see, cost is one thing. End of the day, the team in the customer organization asks, yeah, how many screens or how many systems can I look at? I want everything in one place. You don't give me information in like, Acha, for this you go here, for this you go here, for this you go here. Doesn't really work, right? So we integrate into all the commonly available ERPs. right? And data is also available to be consumed on customer dashboards, right? We have very, very deep integrations with Microsoft Azure, right? They are our preferred platform for cloud. So yes, absolutely, you're right that customers will the end customer will want to look at one screen and say, "Yaar, isme mere ko sab kuch chahiye. I want everything here." Right. So that is something that we provide, and it's very configurable, right? Our APIs and integrations take very, very less time to implement.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Arjun. Thanks.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Right. And look forward to staying in touch with you all.
Thanks, everyone. I think, there's the email ID info@suyuk.com, or even Arjun's direct email ID, as well as my email ID given in the chat, uday@incubatehub.com, and arjun@suyuk.com. So kindly, if you have any further queries or interests, do reach out and we would be happy to connect. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you all. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Arjun, Venki.